everybody, welcome to Flambe with Miss Kristen. Now in our last Pentecost video we talked about how we were going to do a fire demonstration because fire is a symbol of Pentecost, and so we are going to be doing flambe, which is when you set your desserts on fire because it actually makes them more tasty and it's a really fun presentation. So today I made baked Alaska and I have set it on fire and filmed it for your viewing pleasure. So let's take a look at that. Baked Alaska is a really delicious ice cream meringue flaming dessert. I'm just going to quickly show you how I made it, and then I'm going to show you setting it on fire. Okay, so first I take strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate ice cream. I take a bunch of scoops of each and I put it into a big bowl and I make this beautiful mosaic of ice cream cake. And I smooth it all out and I make it look perfect and fit in the bowl perfectly, and I put it in the freezer for hours and hours and hours. Then, after I'm done with that, I whip up a quick pound cake and I let that cool off. And once it's cooled enough, I take out my ice cream bowl and I top it with a layer of chocolate ice cream so that my pound cake will stick to my ice cream cake. And I put that back into the freezer for another few hours. This is an all-day baking project. This is not for those speedy bakers. So while that is in the freezer, I'm going to whip up meringues. Now, we all remember how to make meringues from our awesome Easter meringue cookie video, I'm sure. Once I take that out of the freezer, my cake, I remove the bowl. I flipped it upside down so the pound cake's on the bottom. I remove the bowl and I end up with this awesome ice cream looking almost like helmet. You can see all the different flavors, super marble. It's awesome. Now, because it's frozen enough, I'm going to completely cover the cake with my meringue. And I'm going to use the back of my spoon to make these cool little peaks, which are going to brown really nicely later when we set fire to. So look at how nice that looks. That is going to be really tasty. I try to keep most of my meringue on the top because that's what's going to be burning, but I want to do a nice coating all around it. Put that back in the freezer, and then we take it back out hours later, and now it's ready to flambe. So what I first do is I take my blowtorch and I'm just going to brown the edges, because when we set fire to it, it's really only going to burn like the top and some of the sides, and so I want to make sure that there's an even layer of browning all around my cake. Now, note that when we do set this on fire, it's a very dull flame. It's like a light blue flame, and it's a little too light out. I wanted to do this in the dark, but you can't feed people desserts at night. They get all wound up. So we had to do this at like 7 because it doesn't get dark until like 9 nowadays. So to flambe, I put 2 tablespoons of brandy in a pan. I set fire to that and I pour it directly onto my baked Alaska. Now that liquid was just on fire. I don't know if you can see the flames, but you can probably see the cake kind of browning on the top. We're actually going to add a little bit more flaming liquid to this because I don't feel like you guys were able to see it enough. So maybe when you look at this one, you can actually kind of see the fire in the pan this time, and you can see the fiery meringue there. You can kind of see it smoking a little bit. Now this is actually at the perfect place. It's perfectly brown. The meringue is brown, but the ice cream's still cold. Nothing has melted. But we're going to overdo it a little bit because I want you to really see the fire demonstration. So there is our flaming liquid. Look at that go. We are going to dump that directly on our baked Alaska, and we're going to maybe overcook it a little bit. We've kind of charred our baked Alaska, but we want you to be able to see the flambe experience. And let me tell you, it still tasted amazing. Although we could have done with a little bit less melting meringue, it was still super, super yummy. True baking success. So there you have it. This is our Pentecost flambe demonstration. I would not recommend doing this on your own at home. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. This was actually our last lesson/activity video before our big farewell video. So be looking out for my farewell video coming up, and I hope you all have a great weekend.